Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Sean Thompson here for my friend Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group. There aren't many people who would knowingly leave their job to start another job for a 30% cut in pay. And yet, people do it every day when they enter retirement. Why enter the exciting new chapter of your life with less money? Why trade the stress of work for more stress in retirement? Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help. Just call Tom at 630-934-1855 for your complimentary, customized retirement plan. It addresses many of the big questions you may have, like what to do about Social Security, managing your investments, and how to create income you can never outlive. You can downsize your house, but don't downsize your lifestyle. Get a complimentary, customized retirement plan at 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. That's alphawealthgroup.com.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, RWA, an SEC registered investment advisor. RWA and Alpha Wealth Group are independent of each other. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
Are you looking for fair news coverage out of the nation's capital? Join the Center Square's Editor-in-Chief Dan McCaleb and DC Bureau Chief Casey Harper as they discuss all things coming out of Washington, D.C.
And as you said, I did a fact check on this because I really found it pretty misleading. Gas prices, yes, are down. But if you look at food prices, they increased.
No spin, just the news. Listen to the America in Focus podcast at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcast.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
When life ends, your legacy begins. Ensure your legacy lives on at Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties. Take advantage of 0% financing, lock in today's prices, and safeguard yourself against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
You've decided to remodel your kitchen or bathroom. Okay, the search is on. Who can you trust to give you a great remodel at a fair price?
I ask that you would give us a chance to work with you to have a quality, stress-free kitchen or bath remodel. This is Javen Aldana. My company is Aldana & Son. That's right, we're a family business and we share the same values as you. I am deeply involved in every aspect of your remodel. Realtors love our company too. They know we can get it done as soon as possible and make it fabulous. A happy customer is the only way we do business. You want referrals and reviews? No problem. We stand by our work. We take it personally. Kitchen or bathroom remodels, small or large, we have you covered. Go to remodelingforme.com. That's remodelingforme.com. Aldana & Son. Just under 25 years of happy customers. Let's make you the next one. Go to remodelingforme.com. That's remodelingforme.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So a poignant day on the Hill yesterday with the families of soldiers killed in Afghanistan in that catastrophic withdrawal. Of course, that's not how the Biden administration terms it, but that's what we all witnessed a couple of years back. And they were on the Hill testifying before Congress, demanding some accountability for what happened on that fateful day.
And if you weren't sure about the Biden family and how perverse they are and sick with their lies, listen to what they told Cheryl Rex. All right, she lost her 20-year-old Marine son, Captain Dylan Morello, and the Bidens, they felt her pain. They let her know that, yeah, we know where you're coming from.
When Joe Biden, our elected president, entered the room, when he approached me, his words to me were, my wife Jill and I know how you feel. We lost our son as well and brought him home in a flag-draped coffin. My heart started beating faster, and I started shaking, knowing that their son died from cancer and they were able to be by his side. Also wondering how someone could honestly, be so heartless to say he knew how I felt a little over 24 hours and learning of my son's death.
Where he was calling it a success, so let's pour wounds. Let's pour salt on the wounds.
The extraordinary success of this mission was due to the incredible skill, bravery, and selfless courage of the United States military and our diplomats and intelligence professionals.
And it kept going on. Darren Hoover and his wife, Kelly, they lost their son. And the day before he left, or he was killed, he wrote his mom a letter and dropped it in the mailbox that read, quote, "I want you to live for me, not without me." And what happened was he was shot and his arm was almost torn off, and he made a tourniquet, Dan, around his arm, and he was still saving Afghan families. And he was still throwing out ammo with his remaining arm to soldiers and Marine members to try and fight back. And they said, well, I'll just let you hear what they said.
On August 22nd, an improvised...
In closing, I'm calling out Secretary Blinken, Secretary Austin, General Milley, General McKenzie, Lieutenant Colonel Whitehead, who could not give the order to the snipers to take out the bomber before he detonated his vest, and ultimately the president. Do what our son did. Be a grown-ass man. Admit to your mistakes learn from them so that this doesn't happen ever again.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of the testimony that was offered from families. And also, I didn't know that. Had that been publicly disclosed that there was a opportunity to take out the bomber at the airport? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. And Tyler Vargas, he was the one who testified, letting the world know what really happened that day and that they had their sights on that guy and they wanted him to be taken out, and the call never came.
On August 22nd, an improvised explosive device, IED, probe took place down the canal running along the perimeter of Ashkaya. This was ISIS, or the Taliban, performing an IED test run. We reported this to our chain of command. Around 2 a.m. on August 26th, intel guys confirmed the suicide bomber in the vicinity of and nearing Abbey Gate, described as clean-shaven, brown-dressed, black vest, and traveling with an older companion. I asked the intel guys why he wasn't apprehended sooner, since we had a full description. I was told the asset could not be compromised.
Told the asset could not be compromised. I mean, good for Tyler, and he lost his arm, and but good for him for coming forward and testifying.
Yeah, I mean, good for all of them. I mean, it's the only way you get accountability. You have to have, I mean, it's just the same old story. If you're looking for accountability from within the political class, you're going to be looking for a long time. It needs to come from outside. That's the only thing that I think shakes people up and perhaps gives them pause, makes them look at, wait, what exactly were the decisions that made? What exactly did you do? You have to hear people that were directly impacted. You have to hear from people who were on the ground. You have to hear from the one institution that, one of the few institutions that we respect, at least in terms of the rank and file, and that's military. So, when somebody hears from military guys on the line on that day saying, here's what we had, here was the situation on the ground, here was the opportunity, and here was the order or the lack of an order, then you say, well, yeah, that does demand some additional questions of those decision makers, doesn't it now?
I mean, Hillary Clinton lied and 3 died in Benghazi, but 13 people died. And real quick, I just want to get this in. This is another mom. They kept calling and saying, what happened? Can we have a report? Can you tell us, please, what's going on? And they were given the runaround. They, who lost their sons fighting for this country.
We were told lies, given incomplete reports, incorrect reports, total disrespect. Biden, the Biden administration, Blinken, Milley, Austin, Whited, Ball. Unfortunately, there's more. That's just the ones that I'm focused on at this moment. Incompetent, cowards, evil.
Incompetent, cowards, evil. Pretty good summation. And, I mean, just think about it. If these people they're talking about, the families, will disrespect Gold Star families, you think that they care about you? You think that they have any respect or concern for your interests, for your lives, even? If they'll openly disrespect Gold Star families such that they come forward and tell you this is what happened to us, this is what was said and what was done, what was not said, what was not done, and you want to place your faith in those individuals that would treat Gold Star families the way they were treated, good luck.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Billy Bush, no, not that Billy Bush, the other Billy Bush, the actual heir to the Anheuser-Busch empire, speaks out about the Dylan Mulvaney marketing campaign. 538.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
532, 65 degrees. Former President Trump's legal team is pushing back against a request for a protective order in his election interference case. The Department of Justice filed for the order, asking a judge to place some limits on the former president's speech about the case. Ohio voters are heading to the polls today in a special election that could affect the future of abortion rights in that state. The issue is on the ballot. It would make it more difficult to amend the state constitution and to get citizen initiatives to voters. Thousands of voters across the state of Mississippi will cast ballots in GOP and Democrat primary elections today. At least 2 are dead as powerful storms swept through parts of the South and the East Coast. National Weather Service meteorologist Brian Hurley.
For the Mid-Atlantic region, the highest wind speeds at probably between 70 and 80 miles an hour, at least that's an estimate at this point, were basically along the Mason-Dixon line, northern Maryland into southern PA. Some of those areas got hit pretty hard with a bow echo yesterday afternoon.
Hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses remained without power this morning. Colorado judge is putting the state's new law raising the minimum age for purchasing a gun on hold. Now, that district court judge granted a preliminary injunction yesterday, blocking a law that would have raised the age for all gun purchases to be 21. 2 U.S. military veterans are dead after a drone strike in Ukraine. Former U.S. Marine Lance Lawrence and former Army officer Andrew Weber died at the end of July, fighting in an operation against Russian forces. Up to the moment, at least 14 American citizens have died while fighting in Ukraine. Family, friends, and community members are remembering the 9-year-old girl killed in a shooting over the weekend in Chicago's Portage Park neighborhood. This relative attended a vigil last night for Sarabi Medina.
She was a beautiful person with a big, big heart. It's just a shame that her light was dimmed, just gone, completely gone.
The suspect, identified as Michael Goodman, was taken to the hospital in critical condition as well. He's charged with first-degree murder in the shooting. And Mayor Brandon Johnson can soon make a decision on who will be Chicago's next police superintendent. Sun-Times reporting Johnson is expected to announce his appointment this week after meeting with 3 finalists at City Hall. The finalists include CPD's Chief of Counterterrorism, Larry Snelling, the department's Chief Constitutional Policing and Reform lead, Angel Novales, and Madison, Wisconsin Police Chief Sean Barnes. Cubs lost to the Mets 11-2. White Sox on a 3-game win streak following a 5-1 win over the Yankees. And Georgia this morning sits on top of the preseason college football poll. The news service of MyPillow. Queen-size MyPillow's regular price is $69.98. Now, only $19.98 with promo code LIBERTY. Visit MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Bidenomics is working. We got front runners. This is just another hoax. We got up and comers.
All options are on the table.
Something has to give.
People of every background.
We got scandals.
Like Mama Jones said, someone's lying.
And the election season is just getting started. Keep up with all of it on Chicago's election station. AM 560. The Answer.
Angie makes it easier than ever to connect with skilled pros to get your home projects done well, from repair to remodel. Get started on the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
This is Albert Mohler for Townhall.com. What in the world is going on in Israel? Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's longest-serving leader, led the nation's parliament, the Knesset, to pass a law instructing Israel's Supreme Court to stop ruling on policies and appointments based upon whether the court sees them as reasonable. There's a long story here, and one big point is the fact that Israel does not have, and has never had, a written constitution. And that's a big problem. The other big point is that liberal forces in Israel, opposed to Netanyahu and his conservative governing coalition, have looked to the more liberal court to limit what the government can do. The High Court had declared itself the power to decide if government policies and even appointments by the Prime Minister are reasonable. Reasonable? Reasonable according to whom or to what? The Israeli court has turned itself into the great liberal dream, in which an elite decides what is reasonable for the entire nation. What's happening in Israel is important, and not just for Israel.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dan Migatz, co-owner and CFO of AM Woodland Outdoor Design in Mundelein, and a new customer of Signature Bank. We specialize in the creative design and construction of outdoor living spaces, providing our residential and commercial customers first-in-class landscaping services. Our company was founded as a one-man operation, and today has grown into a multifaceted, one-stop shop for outdoor and indoor design and contracting needs. Signature Bank was there to provide the capital needed to grow our expansion efforts. We wanted to work with a bank that understands our business and is relationship focused. Signature Bank is what a relationship bank is all about. We're excited to continue our partnership for many years to come.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
5:38, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy, 24 minutes. O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. Outbound 21 back out to O'Hare. Inbound on the Ike, you're jammed up from Manheim into the old post office. That's 16 minutes on your commute. 27 on the inbound Stevenson from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, entrance ramp is closed due to a police canvass of the area. That's outbound at 87th. Watch for security incidents gumming up the works there for the next several minutes. Again, that's outbound right at 87th. Police and security are in that area, and it's 33 minutes and climbing outbound to 95th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunshine with a few clouds, maybe an afternoon thunderstorm, and a high of 83. Partly cloudy and 66 overnight. 65 right now at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Billy Bush, not the Billy Bush who had the infamous conversation with Trump about the distaff side. The Billy Bush who's the heir to the Anheuser-Busch empire. Now, of course, Anheuser-Busch was sold to InBev. Nonetheless, Billy Bush has a book out, apparently about the salad days for Anheuser-Busch. These certainly aren't them. And he went on TMZ to promote it, but it kind of got sidetracked because Harvey Levin, who's a leftist, I mean, as the whole staff at TMZ is.
Well, he used to work here in Chicago as a reporter back in the day.
There you go. This is where he was weaned.
Yes.
They asked him about the Dylan Mulvaney campaign, and that took over the conversation. So here's how that went. Here's Billy Bush, the grandson. I think he's the grandson of the patriarch of Anheuser-Busch. Here's what he had to say about the Mulvaney campaign.
I think my family, my ancestors would have rollen over in their grave. They were very patriotic. They loved this country and what it stood for. They believed that transgender, gays, that sort of thing was all a very personal issue. They love this country because it is a free country and people are allowed to do what they want. But it was never meant to be on a beer can and never meant to be pushed in people's faces. So they would have they would have never marketed their brands that way. As you know, AB was one of the greatest marketers ever in any business. And they were incredible with what they came out with, the Clydesdales, the frogs, the lizards, all the different promotions they had, all the different advertising they had. And the last thing they would have done was to get as controversial as they did as InBev has with Dylan Mulvaney advertising.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Seems like a rather obvious statement when your sales are down 14% quarter over quarter, year over year. I mean, you just hear the reports everywhere about the lack of, about how far off Bud and Bud Light sales, actually Anheuser-Busch products generally, are from where they were pre that one can, as the current CEO of Anheuser-Busch terms it. That one can, that's their spin. But it's not without controversy. First of all, unbeknownst to him, perhaps, Billy Bush was talking to two gay dudes, Harvey Levin and his sidekick at TMZ, both gay guys. They disclosed it. I mean, Harvey Levin was known, but the other guy that he was with is some, faceless hack at TMZ, just another gay guy. No, they wanted to press the issue. So you say your ancestors were patriotic. They wouldn't have gone for this. Well, why is Dylan Mulvaney as a spokeshuman, why is that one can, why is that un-American?
Why is it not American?
I think it's not American. I'm not saying it's, I just don't think the audience that drinks beer is into transgenders and that kind of advertising. I think people that drink beer are much more, again, straight, blue collar. I mean, I shouldn't necessarily say straight. I think as the beers for everyone.
Right.
Gay people drink Bud Light too. Well, actually, they don't in one Chicago bar because they won't allow it.
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, the whole you have to make accommodations, you have to make equivocations in order. Yeah, I mean, the problem that Billy Bush has here is, well, Bud Anheuser-Busch, they've already thrown in with the LGBT. They do the pride stuff. They have the pride rainbow cans and all this other silliness to be, your typical virtue signaling corp. So explain, if that's without controversy, then why not the rest of this? Why not go all in?
Not that Bud Light isn't inclusive with everybody. I don't think that's the issue. I just think for the majority of the drinkers out there, that to be advertising transgenderism on their beer is something they don't want to be a part of. I think I think the people, for the majority who drink beer, care about wholesome things, care about America, and believe that certain things in life should be kept private. And transgenderism is one of them.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Should be kept private. Certain things should be kept private.
Not in this day and age, sir.
No, you have to celebrate a grown man pretending to be a little girl. And you have to make him your spokeshuman, and you have to celebrate that, too.
No, it's not only a little girl. Some scenes he looks like a pedophile. I mean, I don't know if you saw the last one. He was on a raft, jumping around, frolicking with two little underage kids. It was disgusting. I don't know why the parents let them hang out with them.
Well, Harvey Levin and his sidekick, they have an answer for why people are boycotting. I mean, it's not in dispute that people aren't drinking Bud Light and Budweiser products, Anheuser-Busch products, like they were pre-Dylan Mulvaney as the spokeshuman. So Billy Bush has one explanation, which is they just find that offensive. You're putting that in their face, and they just don't want to be associated with that. Perhaps they find it a bit perverse. Billy Bush put the question to Harvey Levin. Well, if it's not that it's unwholesome, oh boy, that sounds very judgy. Oh gosh. If it's not that it's unwholesome, then what do you think it is, Harvey and sidekick?
I don't know. Why do you think then, you guys, that people are turning away and boycotting Bud Light now?
Prejudice.
Why?
Prejudice.
You believe it's prejudice?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely, it's prejudice. I mean, the same argument could have been made. Look, I remember my dad telling me stories that there were bars in L.A. that used to have signs that said, "No dogs, no Jews." So there's been a history of prejudice in the country. People get over certain things. It's happened to Jews, it's happened to black people, it's happened to gay people, and it's happening to transgender people. So to me, it is absolutely prejudice.
So,
wow.
So, saying I don't want to stare at Dylan Mulvaney on my beer can is the same thing as posting a sign saying no dogs and no Jews. Is that right? Is that it's the separate water fountains? Is that what this is? This is segregation. This is discrimination on a, well, we don't even say a de jure level, but a de facto level. What's happening is you have a bunch of, well, to borrow a phrase from the former marketing director for Budweiser, you have a frat boy culture that is prejudiced, and it's probably because they're all latent homosexuals. That's what I would just surmise, right, Harvey? That exchange continued, the issue of whether or not this represents prejudice.
I just happen to think that your sexual preference is meant to stay private. I just don't think I think it's not when you talk about racism.
But I got to stop you for a second. Being a transgender person is not a sexual preference. That's different from a sexual preference. It's an identity.
It's an act to
That's
make
a fact.
millions.
It's a little bit. I'm not sure if that's necessarily true,
Yeah,
guys.
I mean, if you look at a transgender person, for example, Caitlyn Jenner has talked about, I believe, has said that it didn't change her sexual preference because she became a woman. So being a transgender person is an identity and not a sexual preference.
I think there's just such a small minority of people who are transgenders who want to change their sexual identity that it doesn't make sense to put that on a very popular beer where most of the drinkers, 99% of them, are straight people and don't identify as something like that.
Pretty straightforward. I mean, in terms of what Billy Bush has to say about the business decision, the larger cultural conversation is really not his particular focus. He's just basically saying this makes no sense from a business perspective of trying to move product. And clearly, he's right. That's obvious. But of course, you have Harvey Levin wanting to cast those who would boycott as, knuckle-dragging, mouth-breathing bigots. And so what's your response to Harvey? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Scott McHenry, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I think Billy was trying to do some brand salvage here, but we all know that Bud Light's being drinking by heterosexual blue-collar men, and it's always been advertised towards that crowd. I also believe that marketing VP knew what she was doing by bringing Dylan Mulvaney into the sphere of Bud Light, and it wouldn't surprise me if she had poor intentions and knew what the outcome of this new marketing plan was going to be.
She wanted to tube the product and lose her job?
I don't think so.
Exactly.
I think she thought that Americans would embrace it.
Yeah.
And buy more, and instead it was the exact opposite.
Thanks for the call, Scott. Appreciate it. I think so, too. And I think it was just a situation where you're surrounded by people who think alike. And I don't know, you would think that they would sort of market test any sort of brand launch. But they're so up their own backsides. They're so in the milieu with the Harvey Levins of the world, they couldn't imagine that anybody would be offended, although at the same time she did say we have to change the frat culture. So she understood that people would be offended. It is a little curious, but I mean, it's one of those things where we're going to have to maybe break a few eggs. We're going to have to offend some of our customers to do the right thing. That's the attitude that she was taking, that the company has taken, and we all know what the consequences were.
Got a text message. I'm willing to give Bud Light a second chance as long as they agree to pay reparations to their former loyal, patriotic consumers.
That's fair. Chris and Carrie.
Hey, good morning, guys. I've done a lot of work in the back of Chinese restaurants. Therefore, I choose not to eat Chinese food anymore. Does that make me a racist? I mean,
yes. Yes. If you don't eat Chinese food, you're a racist. You're stop Asian hate, Chris.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Thanks for the call. I mean, exactly. I mean, the folly of, right, if I don't drink something that if I don't consume a product that represents something with which I disagree, then I'm some sort of bigot.
But people not buying Bud Light, that was Americans' way of saying, I've had enough. Stop shoving this down my throat.
Yes,
I mean, for me, that's what it meant. And if people really look at Dylan Mulvaney, I honestly think that he is an actor. He has been a performer his whole life. He's making so much money off of this. He found a niche.
Well, he was. We'll see.
Well, he's still offering, I don't know if you saw the latest, but he's, if you want, I'll come and speak at your college campus for $40,000.
He's offering. How many people are taking him up on that?
I don't know.
I mean, we'll see. I'm not saying he can't scratch out a healthy living. He probably can in this culture. Something else that Billy Bush said that, represents sort of an old school viewpoint. Look, but it's just, he's removed from where things are, I guess. It's private. Whatever you want to do, you want to run around in a dress. You're a dude. You want to run around in a dress. I'm not going to stop you. But these are private matters. There was this notion once upon a time that what you do in your bedroom, what you do in your home, these are private matters. I'm not interested in them, and I certainly don't want to be force-fed exposure to them, not from you individually and not from companies whose products I consume. Just a simple thing without getting into, and I think this is what he was trying to avoid, without getting into all of this other business and having the bigotry discussion and having to address these ridiculous comparisons to institutional racism and bigotry when you have a group that is otherwise celebrated by all of the cultural and civic institutions in this country and government, for that matter, at most levels, in most places. So it's just like, whatever you do, fine, but just, why do you have to bring it to my living room? It's the old saying it's the anecdote from Hoosiers. Man gets naked, runs out, howls at the moon. Doesn't matter much to me. You do the same thing in my living room, and you sort of have to deal with it. And that's, I think, where we are now. It's in your living room, and people are dealing with it. And one of the ways they're dealing with it is saying, I'm not interested in your product anymore. There's plenty of substitutes. Mike in Littleton, Colorado.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you. I'd have been so happy if he had just said, you know what, that type of lifestyle does not represent the traditional values of America that we stand for. And that's the end of it. And then I might have turned the tables on him and said, well, why don't you guys go to the street, get some seed money, and start your own transgender beer company and see how it does? But no, this is all about forcing it down our throats, lifestyles through the market that already exists, because they know they could never make it in the market with their own beliefs. And I just wish he had spined up a little bit and pushed back.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Yeah, I don't think he was prepared to go too deep on this. I think he wanted to keep in the realm of a business decision, a marketing decision. But I agree with you. I mean, quite simply, he could have said when they were talking about Bruce Jenner as a her, look, here it is, Harvey. People don't want to participate in a lie. You want to lie to yourself, you want to lie to other people, fine. Don't make me a participant. I'm not going to say that a grown man pretending to be a little girl is a little girl. I don't want to be a party to that.
He's promoting pedophilia, I'm telling you.
It's not just about him. I don't want to be a part of this lie that you're telling everybody. I'm not going to look my kids in the face and say, if my son says he's a girl, that he's a girl. I'm just not down with that. Sorry, Harvey. Joe in Hoffman Estates.
Hey, you guys could settle this by having your own little experiment at the radio show, and both of you guys switch clothes and call it the Danny Del-Amy and see what happens.
We'll take that under advisement,
Yeah.
Joe. Thank you.
You wear a size small, do you, Dan?
Chuck and Delavan.
I've been known to go out and drink a little bit, and when people do buy their beer still, their strangers are telling people that are strangers, and it's not very kind what they say. But anyway, I want the money that Tito's makes when he gives away when he makes umbrellas for free for all these. That's the guy I want. I want that money. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thanks for the call. Talk about a marketing genius, Tito's. Holy cow.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, Trump, DeSantis, Vivek. A little bit of a Republican primary campaign update, 6:06.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
A 14-year-old girl shot inside a South Side home, a woman hurt in a West Side blaze. Bail denied for a man charged in a deadly Oak Forest stabbing. And the father of the Highland Park shooter is asking a judge to dismiss a case against him. Cubs get rocked by the Mets. White Sox take down the Yankees, and the Sky hosts the Lynx under sunshine and a few clouds today. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
The polls have just opened in Ohio. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and a special election letting voters decide how voters get to decide ballot questions. Fox's Gernal Scott explains.
Simply put, Issue 1 will decide if it becomes more difficult to amend the Ohio Constitution. Right now, a simple majority of half the state can make the change. Issue 1 bumps that to 60% of the entire state. Ohio's Republican Secretary of State Frank LaRose backs it, saying, if your idea isn't popular,
then maybe you should not consider bringing it to the ballot.
Now, Democrats, they oppose the change, saying upping the threshold to 60% would destroy citizen-driven initiatives to protect abortion or voting or other rights. Former Vice President Mike Pence is ready to debate. He's qualified to be on stage for the first presidential debate.
His campaign announcing they just crossed the 40,000 donor threshold set by the RNC. He'd already met the polling threshold. Pence is the 8th candidate to make the grade. Fox News hosts that debate. It'll be held Wednesday, August 23rd. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
That's Fox's Ted Linder. Former President Trump has suggested as the frontrunner by far in the race, he might skip that debate. His legal team responded to the request for a protective order in the election interference criminal case that would bar the former president from disclosing evidence or commenting on witnesses. He calls the special counsel deranged.
Former President Donald Trump's lawyers asking a federal judge to reject the prosecution's proposed protective order ahead of his 2020 election trial, saying it would violate his First Amendment rights. Special counsel Jack Smith responding in part, the defendant has proposed an unreasonable order to facilitate his plan to litigate this case in the media to the detriment of litigating this case in the courtroom.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin, the judge, wants to set a hearing for this issue. The morning after strong storms, hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses remain without power from Pennsylvania to Alabama, where a man was killed by lightning. A tree killed a South Carolina boy. America's
65 degrees. Skies are mostly clear right now. 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. And good morning. I'm Mike Scott. I want to tell you about a traffic incident that is spiraled into the top of the news this morning as the outbound Dan Ryan is closed, starting and it's delayed from the Burn Circle down to 79th, but is closed near 79th as police are doing a canvass after a shooting and shell casings were found down near 95th. So with the outbound Dan Ryan delayed in big time all the way down to 79th and shut down at 79th with all traffic diverted off, the outbound Dan Ryan right now is a place not to be this morning. In other news, we're following a 14-year-old girl recovering following a shooting on the south side. The teen was inside of a home last night in the 8900 block of South Cottage Grove when she was shot in the leg. A woman is in critical condition following a fire on Chicago's west side. Police say the blaze broke out last night on the third floor of an apartment complex in the 2300 block of North Neva. Family and friends, community members as well, remembering the 9-year-old girl killed in a shooting over the weekend in Chicago's Portage Park neighborhood. This relative attended the vigil last night.
With a big, big heart. It's just a shame that her light was dimmed. Just gone, completely gone.
The young victim was shot and killed Saturday night in the 3500 block of North Long Avenue. Michael Goodman is charged with first-degree murder in that shooting. A Markham man who was wounded in a shootout with Chicago police over the weekend is now facing charges. Officers were conducting a narcotics investigation Saturday night in the 2400 block of East 72nd when Shaquille Parker ran off. Parker turned and fired at police. Only then did police return fire, hitting the suspect. Mayor Johnson could soon make a decision on who could be Chicago's next police superintendent. The Sun-Times reporting Johnson is expected to announce his appointment this week after meeting with the 3 finalists at City Hall yesterday. Cubs lost to the Mets 11-2 at Citi Field. White Sox are on a 3-game win streak following a 5-1 win over the Yankees. The news, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
On August 23rd, the Republican candidates for president are getting together in Milwaukee for their first debate. And AM 560 is throwing a party. Join us for our debate watch party on Wednesday, August 23rd at Chicago Prime Italian Restaurant. Meet Dan Proft and Sean Thompson and watch the debate with fellow AM 560 listeners. Tickets are on sale at 560theanswer.com/debate. Sponsored in part by Fox Valley Coins.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I think it's just a really good idea, simply because I have such a busy schedule that I can't always take care of all of my nutritional needs in the proper ways. I really like it. It's quite nice. With my schedule, I don't get quite enough sleep sometimes, and the following day, so I'm pretty well pleased with it.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Hurry, this offer ends tonight. It's your last chance to take advantage of it by going to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Traffic center time. Outbound Dan Ryan, our biggest trouble spot of the morning. Chicago police, state police, and other security groups are at 87th Entrance ramps are closed there, and because of that, the outbound Dan Ryan is a complete mess. Now, you can leave 79th, but then all traffic is diverted off their canvas of the south end of the outbound Dan Ryan. Kennedy inbound 31. Vincent jammed up between Harlem and Kedzie on the inbound side. 32 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Vehicle in the ditch this morning and an emergency response on the Reagan I-80. Flooding, it's time to call Permaseal 800-421-SEAL. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. Land weather forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Clouds and some sunshine today. Thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon. High today 83. It's a thunderstorm tomorrow. The high 82. Partly sunny, humid Thursday. The high 83.
65 at O'Hare. Next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. A little it looks like we're going to have our fourth and maybe final, indictment. Atlanta locks down courthouse ahead of possible Trump indictment. The grand jury there is wrapping up their work.
They already put the barriers up. Away.
So we'll get to that in a second. But first, Ron DeSantis on Meet the Press over the weekend. Again, having to address Trump and the 2020 election. This with Dasha Burns. News in quotation marks. And see what you think about how skillful Ron DeSantis was here. I don't know. It feels like it's early. I know, but it feels like it's slipping away to me.
So you recently said the election is what it is. You said all those theories that were put out did not prove to be true. So can we just put this to bed so you don't have to be asked about this a million more times? Yes or no, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Whoever puts their hand on the Bible on January 20th every 4 years is the winner. And I don't think the election, and I've pointed, when they changed the rules for COVID, I think that was wrong. I think some of those changes were unconstitutional. When they do mass mail ballots, I think that's wrong. I think ballot harvesting is wrong. I think the Zuckerbucks were wrong. I think the fact that the FBI was working with Facebook and these other tech companies to censor the Hunter Biden story was wrong. And so I don't think it was the perfect election. I remember after a lot of the media was saying this is the most secure election in history. How could it be the most secure with those? At the time after the election, they were talking about Maduro stealing votes on the voting machines or whatever, and none of those theories proved to be true. But here's the issue that I think is important for Republican voters to think about. Why did we have all those mail votes? Because they embraced lockdowns. They did the CARES Act, which funded mail-in ballots across the country. Donald Trump signed that bill that funded the mail ballots that all the Republicans have been so concerned about. And also with the censorship of the Hunter Biden. That was Donald Trump's FBI that was working with that. He didn't have control over his own government. So me as the nominee, we will not let them run circles around us. If there is ballot, in Florida, we ban ballot harvesting, right? I think that's what you should do. If there is ballot harvesting that's allowed in like Nevada, we are on one hand tied behind our backs. And so I think all of those issues were very problematic. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump helped facilitate that whole set of circumstances.
Okay, but respectfully, you did not clearly answer that question. And if you can't give a yes or no on whether or not Trump lost, then how can...
Of course he lost.
Trump lost the 2020 election.
Of course.
Okay.
Joe Biden's the president.
And they completely took that out of context. And the headline is, Ron DeSantis admits that Trump lost the election.
Right.
But it's more refined than that, more detailed.
It is, and it's, I mean, essentially, to boil it down into Chicago parlance, Ron DeSantis is saying Biden stole the election fair and square.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also reach us all morning long on our text line, 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about what DeSantis said, my criticism, is when Dasha Burns goes back and says, but you didn't clearly listen. Just shut up for a second and listen and tell your friends, right? We're taping this, so go share this with your friends. This whole, did Trump lose or not? But DeSantis is like, yeah, Biden is in the White House.
Right.
We've noticed. He's the president of the United States. I got it. Did you understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is he stole it fair and square. And what he's additionally saying is some of Trump's judgment calls and congressional Republicans' judgment calls during COVID facilitated the rigging of the 2020 election. That's what he's saying. He's not saying there was nothing to see here, which is, as you were pointing out, the impression you're left with based on the reporting of that interview.
And what they chose to highlight as a headline.
It's just, I mean, it's just so exhausting. And DeSantis, as sharp as he is, and I think he's very sharp, and as fair as that answer was, he should know better. You got to know what the headline they're going for, and you got to nip that in the bud. So when she came back at him, that was the moment to completely flip the script on her and give her a little bit of a talking to as a representative of this mindless DC press corps.
She wasn't even listening to what he was saying. She just wanted that moment. She just wanted that soundbite.
Exactly.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Eric in Rolling Meadows.
Hey, good morning. I think DeSantis hit it on the head. I mean, it reminded over and over again. I'm not anti-Trump. I just believe it was on his watch, and he let all this happen. You were 100% right.
Thanks for the call, Eric. I mean, I think the criticism is fair. There's a lot of fair criticism of Trump's handling of COVID, and certainly is part of that. You know, as he said, you turn it over to Fauci, and you start throwing money around, and Democrats are going to throw money to do the vote by mail election in where you're trying to get stimulus checks out or PPP money to businesses. Yeah. The lack of attention, not appreciating the approach your political opponents are taking, what they're trying to drive you into, the corner they're trying to argue it, but it's certainly not illegitimate to raise those issues that DeSantis raised. Not only is he going to be indicted, it looks like this Fulton County prosecutor is going to charge him under RICO.
What?
It looks like he's going to be facing racketeering charges in Georgia.
That's a bit of a stretch, but...
Well, you know, the prosecutors love to use the RICO law. I mean, like Giuliani did against crime families in the 80s in New York City. They love to use it, street gangs too, to fold people in. And can we just remind ourselves about this grand jury, as well as the infamous phone call. Can we just, or all of this gets distorted such that it is unrecognizable as going to hear, and the characterization of it is going to be before we get to that, George in Naperville, one more on DeSantis.
Yeah, what if DeSantis would have said, I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I knew that's how.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the call, George. So on the first on the grand jury, can we just, when we were introduced to the woman slash witch,
she's a hot mess,
who was made the special grand jury for human by her fellow human. And this was a CNN interview that she did, talking about the proceedings, and apparently the judge was okay with that.
Did you personally want to hear from the former president?
I wanted to hear from the former president, but honestly, I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get 60 seconds with President Trump of me looking at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting to swear him in. I kind of just thought that would be an awesome moment. I can see how trying to get the former president to come talk to us would have been a year in negotiation by itself.
So it sounds like that was ultimately a battle that you all decided not to wage.
Exactly. That's kind of how it ended up, was that, and I'd be fascinated by what he said, but do you think he would have come in and said anything groundbreaking, or just the same kind of thing we've heard? So at some point you don't need to hear 50 people say the same thing. You know what I mean? At some point you kind of start to get the gist.
And then we went to the mall, and then we go to Disney World, and who is this baby proposing as a woman?
Well,
she should be kicked off.
She's a witch.
What do you mean?
She identifies as she's a witch. She casts spells and stuff. Yeah.
Are you being serious?
No, I'm being serious.
She identifies as a witch?
I don't know if she identifies as a witch, but she like on her social media, this was reported at the time, she dons the persona of a witch from time to time.
Oh.
When she's not serving as the forehuman on special grand juries involving a former president of the United States. Jury of your peers. More Emily Kors, just for your own entertainment.
Yeah, this is quite eye-opening. I forget.
Her take on Trump's statement that he was exonerated.
I'm not positive he read the right document, but I will say that if what he was talking about was our statement where we indicated that there was no evidence of widespread fraud or widespread vote fraud in the Georgia 2020 election, that might have been what he meant. Other than that, I'm not positive what he meant by that. I'd be interested to know.
I'm sure we will hear more from him after after it all.
She's
Oh
having
my goodness.
She's having a great time, and that's what's important. And
This could be another reason why Dan Proft is single.
happen.
Oh.
Just something.
Give me your dreams.
Something.
Much of everyone's time, too much of their time, too much argument in court about getting people to appear before us. There was just too much for this to just be, oh, okay, we're good, bye.
What is going on here? I mean, when I testified before, it was a sacred spot where you don't talk, grand jurors don't go out and do a media tour.
Apparently okay with her
that's
saying
not
what
good.
she said. And her work continues as far as we know. It looks like it's reaching its conclusion here shortly, and expect Trump to be indicted. But just on the call quickly again, since this is mainly what we're talking about, just some of the exchange. You can read the entirety of the transcript yourself, but I just point to a couple of things. One, remember, this was not a one-on-one call with Trump and Raffensperger. This was Trump and his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and election attorneys on the call talking about the discrepancies they believe existed in the count. And if you recall, his election attorneys were offering sort of specific batches of votes. So was Mark Meadows. He was synthesizing what Trump was saying in the call. We're not asking you to do a full recount of all the votes that were cast. We're looking at specific batches of votes that we'd like you to take another look at because we believe some people who voted who shouldn't have and that votes were counted that shouldn't have been. So can you look at these cohorts of votes that we're talking about? Trump on the results.
You should want to have an accurate election. And you're a Republican.
Good election.
No, I know you don't. No, you don't. You don't have. Not even close. You're off by hundreds of. You are letting it happen. I'm notifying you that you're letting it happen. So look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
Right, and that is prima facie evidence of some racketeering. That is criminal, what you just heard. He's advocating to the state's top election authority for a recount. And, of course, he just wants to find the votes that he believes exist that would codify his victory, the victory he believes he had in Georgia. He can be wrong. There's what is the skullduggery here? Much less criminality. You're speaking to the Secretary of State with your attorneys and your chief of staff present, and again, go through the transcript, and they're talking. They make specific assertions about specific batches of votes. So all this, he said, go find 12,000 votes. He was trying to suborn some sort of a conspiracy or put together some sort of conspiracy to commit election fraud. And thank God Brad Raffensperger didn't fall in with the Trump crowd, the Trump conspiracy, the Trump criminal organization. What is criminal about advocating your view about an election, about specific batches of votes that you have questions about, arguing that you won this election and the Secretary of State needs to take a look at X and Y and Z. And very much like we talk about with the election challenges writ large, there's a process. There are people in charge. And you have Trump advocating his position and the people to whom he's advocating making whatever decision they make. The crime is where? Ralph and Rantoul, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, good morning. It's so exhausting having to listen to this political persecution by the Biden administration all day long. And of course, the media lining up behind it, turning opinion into crime. And Dan, if opinion is criminal, you are a mass murderer because you do it every day.
I know.
I'm going
to get folded into this RICO case, I'm sure, before it's all said and done.
Oh, well, you work for an organization, so they'll come down on them as RICO, and you're just a pawn. Your time is numbered, you murderer.
And then all of a sudden you'll get audited. I got a text message. Dan, isn't RICO a federal statute? How do they use it at a state level?
Well, it is, but you can. I mean, we'll see what they do. I mean, you could do a joint prosecution with the federal government. I mean, you could have Fannie Willis fold in the U.S. attorney for whatever district that is in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but they're also state level RICO statutes. the states sort of emulating what the federal government does in terms of giving local prosecutors the same sort of bandwidth. So I don't know, but apparently in Atlanta there's a state level RICO statute because this is what is being telegraphed and what actually Fannie Willis talked about. There's in this piece in the Journal. She said at a press conference in 2022 about a gang indictment. Make an accurate decision about someone's life, and so RICO is a tool that allows a prosecutor's office and law enforcement to tell the whole story. So clearly there is at the state level in Georgia. Bill in LaSalle County.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan and Amy. In the 2020 election, my mother-in-law tried to vote, on the day of voting. She was told she had already voted via absentee ballot, but they let her vote provisionally. But again, every bad vote in that case is offset by the real voter because they can't go back and find the original ballot and pull the ballot. So her vote just basically cancels out the illegal vote. And people need to realize it doesn't take many votes to change an election when that kind of skullduggery happens.
Thanks for the call, Bill.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you a driver of a Ford PowerStroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford PowerStroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford PowerStroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES or visit remkesgarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
My son was saying, Mom, why are you paying so much for this? The supplement store has the exact same thing. And I said, no, they don't. Because he was telling me that they have similar products as Balance of Nature. But then when he came over to my house and he looked at the label of the Balance of Nature about all the, ingredients and everything, he realized, oh yeah, this is a superior product.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Hurry, this offer ends tonight. It's your last chance to take advantage of it by going to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
You know who would make a good couple?
Who?
Dylan Mulvaney and that Emily Kors, that grand jury for human.
Yeah, they could frolic around in their
They sort of have the same personality.
And jump on floats.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk to our friend Jeffrey Tucker, founder and president of the Brownstone Institute. The money trails of the pandemic planning racket at 6:36.
And later, guess how many U.S. Congress members are 80-plus years old? But now, let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
65 degrees, mostly clear skies this morning, and a lot of cleanup to do today after strong thunderstorms tracked across Maryland on Monday, much of the East Coast and South as well, leaving trails of downed trees and power lines. In Westminster, Maryland, portion of one highway had to be shut down after high winds snapped utility poles that crashed down on the highway. Due to live wires, dozens of people were stuck in their cars for hours as emergency crews worked to shut off the power and move them to a safer area. Former President Trump's legal team is pushing back against a request for a protective order in his election interference case. The Department of Justice filed that order asking the judge to place some limits on Trump's speech about the case. Ohio voters head to the polls today in a special election that could impact the future of abortion and other rights in that state. The issue on the ballot would make it more difficult to amend that state's constitution and get citizen initiatives before voters. A 14-year-old Chicago girl is recovering following a shooting on the South Side. The teen was inside of a home last night in the 8900 block of South Cottage Grove when she was shot in the leg. No arrests have been made. A woman is in critical condition following a fire on the West Side. The blaze broke out last night on the third floor of an apartment complex in the 2300 block of North Neva Avenue. Mayor Brandon Johnson could soon make a decision on who will be Chicago's next police superintendent. The Sun-Times reports Johnson is expected to announce his appointment this week after meeting with the three finalists at City Hall yesterday. The finalists include CPD's Chief of Constitutional Policing and Reform, Angel Novales, the Chief of Counterterrorism, Larry Snelling, and Madison, Wisconsin Police Chief Sean Barnes. Major League Baseball handing out several suspensions after last weekend's brawl between the White Sox and Cleveland. That fight began between White Sox shortstop Tim Anderson and Cleveland third baseman Jose Ramirez after a play at second base. Anderson has now been suspended for 6 games, Ramirez 3, and White Sox skipper Pedro Grifol received a 1-game ban. Cubs lost to the Mets 11-2 at Citi Field, while the White Sox beat the Yankees 5-1. The news service of MyPillow. MyPillow employees want to thank you by giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. Now, only $19.98 with promo code Liberty. That's promo code Liberty. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees tough times.
Liberals continue to vote as if everything is normal, and the Republicans are the enemy. No matter what the left does, liberals keep voting left. We're living through a very, very perilous time. Liberals are the problem because they are the ones who put the left in power.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, folks. Sebastian Gorka here. Are you worried about investing in the stock market, especially with Joe Biden in office? Do you really trust this economy? What if you could invest in a secure, collateralized portfolio with a high fixed rate of return that's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed? A portfolio where you'll know what each monthly statement will look like with no surprises. Your interest is compounded daily. You're paid monthly, and there are no fees. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose. And get this, there is absolutely no loss of principal if you ever need your money back. Just go to Invest Y Refi. That's invest, the letter Y, then refi.com, or call 888-Y-REFI-24. You can earn a fixed rate of return of up to 10.25%. Just call 888-Y-REFI-24 or go to investyrefi.com and tell them Dr. G sent you.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a very, very skeptical person, so I think even if it had started working sooner, I was like, no, it can't be just balance of nature. Till I finally gave in and said, you know what? I think it's the balance of nature. So somebody will say, oh, I noticed this, or you look really good today, or you such and such, and I go, I know, it's the balance of nature. I have fingernails that I've never had before. They're long and they're strong and they're wow.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Hurry, this offer ends tonight. It's your last chance to take advantage of it by going to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
6:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Dairy Queen. The caramel fudge cheesecake blizzard treat has arrived. It's so wonderful that you won't want to miss out. Indulge your cheesecake cravings. Try it today only at DQ, where happy tastes good. Let's start on the Edens, 21 Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy settling in at 42 right now. O'Hare to the Burn Circle interchange. 43 on the Ike, 390 to the old post office. Stevenson, 40 minutes in from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The inbound Dan Ryan is moving okay, 20 minutes in from 95th. The outbound side, Dan Ryan lanes are closed right at the 83rd Street exit due to a police canvass of the Ryan after a shooting and shell casings were discovered near 95th. So you have that problem, and then compounding the problem, you have a bad accident blocking two right lanes outbound at 75th right before all traffic is diverted off. Outbound Ryan is an absolute mess and headache. Avoid it if you can. Accident on I-80 this morning, eastbound approaching Maple on the Veterans, right near the Veterans Memorial Toll Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunshine. We'll have a few clouds overhead and then chance of a thunderstorm in spots this afternoon. High 83. 65 at O'Hare. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Just another friendly reminder why this broadcaster will not be participating in any granting of COVID amnesty.
Okay.
Little reminder, just, how they wanted to create a colony and quarantine all of the unvaccinated.
You are the unvaccinated. You are the problem. It is the unvaccinated who are the problem, period, end of story.
The only people that you can blame, this isn't shaming, this is the truth. Maybe they should be shamed, are the unvaccinated.
It's time to start blaming the unvaccinated folks, not the regular folks.
Anyone you came into contact with will blame you, as will the rest of us who have done the right thing by getting vaccinated.
Because frankly, we know that we can't trust the unvaccinated.
I think it's time to get our moral house in order, Anderson.
Open season for me. I can do whatever I want as well.
The unvaccinated are basically beating their breasts and running around the country saying, we don't care, we're living free, and so forth.
We've been patient.
but our patience is wearing thin.
Unvaccinated, a group that includes children and people acting like children. And the rest of us are starting to get pissed off.
The vaccinated feel the unvaccinated are making me upset or angry.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Yeah. Remember how they wanted to treat the unvaccinated as it's some sort of league.
It's like you guys had leprosy. I mean, you couldn't go. You honestly, remember when we had the vaccine mandate where you couldn't go to a restaurant, McDonald's, bowling alley, arcade, movie theater, gym?
Yeah. Well, it's actually worse than having leprosy because you heard dishonor, unchristian. This wasn't an affliction that befell someone. This was, you are doing something that is irresponsible, unchristian, dishonorable. This was the predicate to impose mandates, of course. The shame culture.
Yeah. The unvaccinated, they're the pandemic problem now. I remember all of it. And I got vaccinated, but I understand why other people didn't, but others cannot. They just shame the heck out of you.
It's the public health equivalent of saying bigot. That's what they do. And that's why I'm not really interested in offering any sort of path back to people who said, oh, well, maybe this was a little too far. Maybe this didn't turn out right. Maybe we could have handled that a little bit better. Yeah,
they lied to people to get them vaccinated, and they dangled carrots in front, like you can still play sports if someone on your team's, gets COVID, but if you're not vaccinated, you have to sit out for 14 days.
Jeffrey Tucker is the founder and president of the Brownstone Institute. He's the author of Liberty or Lockdown as well. Jeffrey Tucker, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It's nice to be here, and it's very painful to listen to all those recordings, but
yeah,
there it is.
Well, there it is. Don't want to forget.
It shows us that we can go back, become primitive and stupid and cruel and brutal towards each other, hurling wild accusations based on absolutely nothing. We have to remember there wasn't a shred of science behind any of those claims that the unvaccinated were being scapegoated for the existence of a normal respiratory pathogen. But otherwise, there's no evidence that they're in any sense perpetuating the crisis.
Well,
and at the very late in the day here, we know a lot more about the vaccines than we did then, and it's not good.
Well, what are we knowing more? Tell us.
The risk profile is the worst for any approved vaccine by far in history. And if a vaccine anywhere near this associated with this many adverse events were approved in the past, it would have been taken off the market instantly. And there's a lot, obviously a lot of questions about how many people have actually died from the vaccines. People with the myocarditis profiles are very, very high. They're extremely risky. I said on the radio a long time ago in the middle of the hysteria that these vaccines have not been proven safe or effective. And I tell you what, I got slammed. National media people going after me. I was hounded and attacked. But now, at this late a date, more and more people agree with this. It's actually completely undeniable. Most of the vaccinated population now deeply regrets it and wonders, why they went through with it, why they gave in, and now in Australia the other day, Pfizer executives were testifying. Thank God there was a hearing, and they denied that there were any vaccine mandates at all. They said that we were just giving opportunities for people.
Yeah, I watched that. Yeah, we're just opportunities.
Yeah.
Well, so that's next for us. They're gonna deny that New York was ever segregated. That anybody was required to get it. It's Orwell. It's like living in Orwell.
And those people that went after you for saying that the vaccines have not been proven scientifically to be quote unquote safe and effective, whatever that threshold is, certainly not the way they're being described. So the people that were going after you now, they've been sending you apologies.
Well, that's just it, right? You never get an apology, and you kind of get used to this. In my position, you just take the slings and the arrows, and then they slink away and they go away. There's never any accountability, apology. It just that's it. It's just they just disappear, and no, they never apologize to you. We're living in very strange times, and I mean the bigger picture is, if I may, that a small group of people really destroyed massive elements of the American culture, economy, educational sector, demoralized everybody, wrecked, stole 2 years of our kids' lives, imposed travel restrictions, ruined churches, and then forced these shots unnecessarily on vast parts of the U.S. population. And we're all sitting here and in the midst of all this wreckage, demanding some accountability, and they are they're continuing to pretend like nothing happened or that it was all okay. They're not apologizing. Fauci's successor is just another Fauci, and so it is with Walensky at CDC. They're a small gang. They ruined this country and large parts of the world, and they're all just pretending like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Well, was there ever any surface to person, infectious of COVID? Did anybody catch it from a surface? Because the world went crazy with alcohol wipes, and I know some people put groceries in their garage for a week before they would touch them again to put them inside the cupboards.
It's all really sad. I mean, it's so sad. I mean, we laugh about it, but it really is. It is tragic. I ran an article about hand sanitizer yesterday. It doesn't do anything for respiratory infections. It just doesn't do it. And actually, it can have a negative effect. You're wiping out, all the good germs. We need pathogens to live. You sanitize your world. It's a death sentence, really.
I do. And, I gotta say, I do sort of miss the idiot circles that separate us by 6 feet, because I like when people were a little further away from me. And
Isn't that something?
Yeah. Well.
It's amazing that we had the government telling everybody, don't get close to anybody else. Whatever you do, don't gather. What about my home? Nope, can't do that. Can't do that. Do not gather with other people. Well, this is all a little bit strange, isn't it? I mean, I can't go to church. My kids can't go to school. I can't go to my funeral of my mother. I can't see my husband or wife in the hospital. And I'm a little bit upset about it. I'd like to talk to other people. Nope, don't do that. That only spreads COVID.
Yeah, but then George Floyd died, and he had 3 funerals. And they were packed. That's when I woke up, and I'm like, you know what? I am done with this BS. That woke me up right away.
We all need to we need to talk about that. We've got years of kind of public mind therapy that we have to go through here. One quick point about vaccine injury. I'm a little bit annoyed by this idea. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's rare. Well, if it happens to you, it's not rare. It's 100%. And what we found out in the last week has been, I mean, even for me, shocking. So, in cooperation with the Biden administration, Facebook deboosted or took down any information about vaccine injury on grounds that it was creating a
vaccine hesitancy. Yeah.
The vaccine negative environment, something like that. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't even tell the truth. Now, this is outrageous. Like, I have friends of mine are, wildly more pro-vaccination than I am. But what they say is, you can't be pro-vaccine and also deny the sufferings of the vaccine injured. That is going to ruin the reputation of vaccines forever. Like, the best, if you love vaccines, the best thing you can do is have some transparency and honesty about adverse events, so at least people can make a wise choice with knowledge of the risks. There's no medicine in the world without a risk. But, they fob this new technology on us without any kind of any public discussion of the risk profiles at all.
What did Hiram Johnson say? The first casualty in war is the truth, and that's what this was. This was prosecuted like a war.
And wasn't it interesting when, you remember these days, we had AstraZeneca was never approved in this country. It's not an mRNA injection. It's just an old-fashioned virus or an old-fashioned vaccine. And so in this country, we had three. We had Moderna, Pfizer, and J&J. Well, what was the very first vaccine pulled off the market for its blood clotting? It was the J&J.
J&J,
That's
right.
the one vaccine. Yeah, the one of the three that was not mRNA technology. And what we're learning more and more, there's a lot of evidence to suggest this. This entire episode was just, we were all used as guinea pigs to try out a new platform technology, mRNA, new technology, never been tried on the public. It's been in research for decades, but they never had a chance to release it until this emergency, and then it got emergency use authorization. They could test it on the whole population. That's pretty chilling, don't you think?
I'd say it's it's something out of a sci-fi, a dystopian sci-fi film. I want to get your take on, since you wrote about this other matter. I wanted to get your take on this, talking about the small group of people and the lack of accountability. Gabe Bankman-Fried, brother of Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX infamy, was looking to buy a Pacific island called Nauru in the event where 50 to 99.99% of people die, to protect his philanthropic allies and create a genetically enhanced human species, according to a lawsuit filed last week seeking to recover some money. He wanted to buy an island. He and the Bankman-Frieds wanted to buy an island and create a genetically enhanced human species. And you wrote about Sam Bankman-Fried when they dismissed the campaign contribution charges, campaign finance charges against him. When they dismissed that, the federal government did. Isn't it interesting? What were the Bankman-Frieds, these high flyers, what were they up to during the pandemic? A lot of their money flowed not just to Democrat pals, but also to the public health mafia.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, the whole of FTX was in fact a money laundering operation, and they used a public health kind of rationale to feed money from large corporate donors to but mostly to Democrats that were headed to the midterm elections. And all the timing just checks out. Founded in 2019, the thing goes belly up right after the November election in 2020, having given billions and billions of dollars away in the name of pandemic planning, because they're so altruistic. They're so altruistic. So there's a philosophy behind this too, right? There's effective altruism. So we're an altruistic company. Oh, that's so interesting. What does that mean? We make money and then give it away. Well, that is fascinating. And thousands of years of history of enterprise, you're the first ones ever come up with this. Yeah, as far as we can tell, yeah, that's it. Well, okay, so we're going to give our money away. Well, who are you going to give it to? Charity. Well, what are the charities going to do with it? Well, they're going to give it to politicians that support pandemic planning.
Well, not just politicians, but Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, vaccine companies, and others too, right?
Mm-hmm. 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 One of the big gifts went out to a trial on ivermectin that concluded ivermectin wasn't any good, and they funded that whole thing. Of course, the entire study was compromised and fake, and it wasn't any good. It's been refuted many times over, but yeah, they funded that entire trial to take down ivermectin. So yeah, it's all so creepy. I did my best that I possibly could in sort of tracing out some of the funding networks behind FTX, but it is really complicated. We don't know anywhere near the whole of it. We just know what we know, and what we know looks really awful. On the dismissal of the charges, I'm so intrigued by this because it was obvious to me when I was going through the operations of FTX that it was a money laundering operation, mostly, and really stood in violation of campaign finance laws. I mean, the way it works is you've got a big company that wants to influence regulations. They want to buy a politician to do their bidding, but they can't do it because of campaign finance legislation. So they give a big injection of venture funding to FTX. FTX says, oh, thanks so much. We're going to give it away altruistically. They give it to a 501c4, and then they give it to the politicians. So it's just a couple of hops. It's clear that I was amazed that in the indictment against him, the charge of campaign finance violations was in there. I thought, wow, are we about to get some truth and justice out of our Justice Department? I couldn't believe it. And sure enough,
no.
When they issued the extradition request against the Bahamas, that sentence just so happened to be left out.
Yeah, it's just like they just forgot to include that one of the bases for the extradition was campaign finance violations.
Yeah, such a mistake, such a tragic oversight. Then, so when they got to the courthouse, they said, well, wait a minute, we've got to communicate here from the Bahamas government. They say, you can't try this guy on grounds of campaign finance violations because that's not why they acquiesced to the extradition request.
Well, I'll tell you,
that would really be.
I'll tell you, that was a close call. Yeah, that was a close call. We almost stumbled into accountability. Thank God they narrowly avoided that. Jeffrey Tucker, founder and president of the Brownson Institute. Thank you as always, sir. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
In our latest installment of Campus Beat, the first thing you learn at Harvard at 7:07.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
A woman is hurt in a West Side blaze. A vigil held for a 9-year-old shooting victim in Chicago. The suspected shooter is charged. Cubs get rocked by the Mets while the White Sox down the Yankees. WIND, Chicago News Times, 7.
Mike Pence will be there. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The former vice president running against his old boss has become the 8th Republican 2024 candidate to qualify for the first debate in 2 weeks.
A Pence campaign spokesperson said Mike Pence made quick and easy work of the donor threshold, and he's looking forward to a substantive debate about the issues important to the American people. Hopefully, former President Trump has the courage to show up.
The front runner in the race has suggested he might skip the debate. That was Fox's Alexandria Hoff. Now, a Trump Truth Social post claims he'll be the only politician in history not allowed to speak, claiming special counsel Jack Smith, who he calls deranged, is trying to silence him, requesting a protective order in the election interference case.
Trump attorneys arguing in a trial about First Amendment rights, the government seeks to restrict First Amendment rights, noting President Biden has continually attacked Mr. Trump, who is this administration's primary political opponent.
That's Fox's Mike Emanuel Smith responded, saying the former president wants to litigate this case in the media. A judge has yet to set a hearing date. President Biden is in Arizona, focused on this today.
Nearly 1 million acres in Arizona will be established as the Baj Nuwavjo Itak Kukveni, or ancestral footprints of the Grand Canyon National Monument, protecting land sacred to tribal nations and indigenous people.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. It's the day after storms did damage from south to north. Fox's Katie Byrne is in Westminster, Maryland.
Downed power lines, electric poles, trees, anything you could think of. And here, Maryland State Police were up late into the night rescuing more than 30 adults and 14 kids who were trapped in cars just like this. They were either surrounded by live wires or wedged under some of these poles.
Well, it's hundreds of thousands still without power. Man killed by lightning in Alabama. South Carolina boy was hit by a falling tree. In Ohio, they're voting today on a ballot issue that could up the threshold in constitutional amendments to 60% voter support.
65 degrees. That's 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A 14-year-old girl recovering following a shooting on Chicago's South Side. That teen was inside of a home last night in the 8900 block of South Cottage Grove when she was shot in the leg, hospitalized in good condition. A woman in critical condition following a fire on Chicago's West Side. That blaze broke out last night on the third floor of an apartment complex in the 2300 block of North Neva. The cause has not been released. Family, friends, and community members remembering a 9-year-old girl killed in a shooting over the weekend in Chicago's Portage Park neighborhood. This relative attended the vigil.
She was a beautiful person with a big, big heart. It's just a shame that her light was dimmed, just gone, completely gone.
The father of the Highland Park July 4 shooting suspect is asking a judge to dismiss the case against him. Robert Cremo Jr. is facing felony charges of reckless conduct. The charges stem from allegations he helped his son get a firearm owner identification card, but years ago. The judge is expected to make a ruling on August 28. Mayor Johnson could soon make a decision on who will be Chicago's next police superintendent. The Sun-Times is reporting Johnson is expected to announce his appointment this week after meeting with 3 finalists at City Hall yesterday. Cubs gave up 3 home runs in an 11-2 loss to the Mets at Citi Field, while the White Sox won 5-1 over the Yankees at guaranteed rate. Dylan Cease earning his 5th win of the season. The news service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
On August 23rd, the Republican candidates for president are getting together in Milwaukee for their first debate, and AM 560 is throwing a party. Join us for our debate watch party on Wednesday, August 23rd at Chicago Prime Italian Restaurant. Meet Dan Proft and Sean Thompson and watch the debate with fellow AM 560 listeners. Tickets are on sale at 560theanswer.com/debate. Sponsored in part by Fox Valley Coins.
This is Albert Mohler for townhall.com. What in the world is going on in Israel? Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's longest-serving leader, led the nation's parliament, the Knesset, to pass a law instructing Israel's Supreme Court to stop ruling on policies and appointments based upon whether the court sees them as reasonable. There's a long story here, and one big point is the fact that Israel does not have, and has never had, a written constitution. And that's a big problem. The other big point is that liberal forces in Israel, opposed to Netanyahu and his conservative governing coalition, have looked to the more liberal court to limit what the government can do. The High Court had declared itself the power to decide if government policies and even appointments by the Prime Minister are reasonable. Reasonable? Reasonable according to whom or to what? The Israeli court has turned itself into the great liberal dream, in which an elite decides what is reasonable for the entire nation. What's happening in Israel is important, and not just for Israel.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
You've heard me tout the goodness that is 120 Life. It has so many benefits that I can't stop talking. It's my go-to juice. I drink it every day, help keep my blood pressure in check, and I feel better drinking it. It's packed with natural ingredients that have amazing health benefits like pomegranate, hibiscus, and cherry. 120 Life tastes good, and it feels good, especially when you pour it over ice. It comes in a convenient 8-ounce bottle that makes it easy to take on the go, as well as the new powdered drink mix with only 1 gram of sugar and 5 calories. Go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Use coupon code LIBERTY. Save 15% off plus free shipping. And you can earn customer rewards points with every order. Points that you can collect and redeem for product discounts up to $50. Check it out at 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Make it easy to manage your high blood pressure. Try it today. Order now, 120life.com, and use coupon code LIBERTY. Save 15%. 120life.com. 120 Life. I love this stuff.
7:07. Time to visit signaturebank.bank. And it's time right now to check the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of Fox Valley Coins. Buying all gold and silver bars and coins, silver dollars, rare date, proof, and mint sets. Visit foxvalleycoins.com. Inbound Kennedy at 48, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now settling in at 50 minutes, 390 into the old post office. Stevenson at 30 minutes. In from the Tri-State to DuSable Lakeshore Drive with an accident on the left-hand shoulder approaching Central Avenue. Dan Ryan right now on the inbound side 18 minutes into the Burn Circle interchange. The incident completely cleared now off the outbound Dan Ryan between 83rd and 95th. The road is being reopened. Police and IDOT are moving things out of your way. And right now the travel time's at about 32 minutes from the Burn Circle down to 95th and dropping. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Sunshine, a few clouds, a thunderstorm. The high this afternoon, 83. Partly cloudy tonight, low 66. Sun and clouds, a thunderstorm for tomorrow, the high 82. And then partly sunny, humid Thursday, the high 83. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
65 at O'Hare, 68 along the lakefront, 65 at Midway, and right now 56 in Aurora. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Cause they got the beat, the campus beat, the campus beat. Yeah, the campus beat.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. And on this installment of Campus Beat, we've got a couple. We got to get to Harvard, and we got to get to Southern Illinois University, the Salukis.
Oh, that's a fun school.
Let's start with Harvard. A good exchange on his podcast did Glenn Lowry have, econ professor at Brown University, with a journalist named J. Caspian Kang. They were talking about the Students for Fair Admissions case, the end of racial quotas, that case that was recently decided by the Supreme Court that has such wide-sweeping implications beyond what happens with college admissions. I thought Lowry's statement here was very interesting since he teaches in the Ivy League. The first lesson Harvard teaches its students appears to be the following. Market your identity-based oppression. The first lesson,
of course,
at Harvard, market your identity-based oppression. Okay. J. Caspian King is a man of the left. Glenn Lowry is not anymore. Here is what he had to say, J. Caspian King, sort of in reaction to the Harvard admissions case, and just generally speaking, what he sees happening at these elite universities.
The part that concerns me the most is this idea in which people feel like they have to perform a type of harm, right? And so for myself, for example, I think about it and I think, well, okay, I can sort of construct one, right? Like I can say, my parents were born in a war zone in Korea, right? This is true. My family escaped from North Korea. That's true. I have generational trauma from Japanese imperialism and from my parents being born in a war zone. I mean, it should be true, right? When I was a child, I lived in I don't know, I'm sure you're very familiar with Cambridge, but I lived in, our family lived in the Alewife Towers.
Yeah. Keep going. This is his trauma story, his oppression story. This is all true, but.
So my point is just I could come up with this whole history of oppression for myself, and do I believe it? No, by the time I was in middle school, my family was very middle class, right? And my parents were very educated. And I guess I fear that what happens is that when students are incentivized to this degree to perform something like that they start to believe it, that they feel like the difference between going to Harvard and going to a perfectly fine but not Harvard school is that they have to construct this type of identity around themselves And that if, the way in which Harvard was doing it for a while is basically if you didn't write about it in your essay, it didn't count, right? Like it didn't count that you were this minority group unless you like told a sob story about it. I find that to be like totally indefensible. Actually, I find it to be like quite disgusting, right? That this like elite institution is asking these kids to perform their trauma stories for them.
Perform your trauma stories at Harvard and everywhere else. And this is, again, emphasis, J. Caspian King, as you just heard, Korean, and a man of the left, self-identified man of the left. Glenn Lowry interjected with his experience with the black kids that he teaches at Brown, that is.
Right.
I mean, it's untrue to the actual objective condition of the mostly solidly upper middle class black kids that I encounter here in my classes at Brown. They haven't exactly been beaten down by history, notwithstanding the fact that they will be able to recount both in their own lives and in the lives of their parents and grandparents a wealth of stories about disadvantage and mistreatment. But they're very, very privileged kids.
Yeah, the whole oppression transference, right? Yeah, I mean, J. Caspian King, his parents went through something. War zone, escaping North Korea. Glenn Lowry, black gentleman, his ancestors went through something in this country. Institutional racism, subjugation. Yeah, that's real. But it doesn't mean it's real for you today attending Brown University or Harvard. But they have to keep up those appearances. That's the only way they make this engine run. And it's interesting because, it finally dawns on J. Caspian King. I mean, maybe what happened to Asian students at Harvard is what turned him onto this, what finally drove it home for him. But this arbitrariness of identity. Of course it's arbitrary. The arbitrariness of identity, it makes a mockery of being a man of the left. So he doesn't like it because he doesn't want to be an object of mockery. He doesn't want to be this walking illustration of hypocrisy and silliness. But that's what these identitarians are, and he gets it.
And the thing that I think frustrated a lot of people, which is just like, look, nothing that happened to my family or me or whatever matters. But then you have, like, for example, let's say like a Chilean kid coming who grew up extremely wealthy, and that matters more, right? Like that he gets to check the Latino box. And so then, like within that type of atmosphere where those things are true and are happening, then how do you support it? And I think that was sort of falling off point for a lot of these Asian families. And, I don't know, I would just say personally for myself too, where I was just like, it just doesn't make any sense, right? Like the grandson of somebody who worked with Milton Friedman, to like, deregulate the economy of that country and is a billionaire, is so, like that identity matters, right? But like this like poor Chinese kid who, or like poor Vietnamese kid, poor Cambodian kid, like that doesn't matter, like doesn't matter what happened to this family. It doesn't matter all these different things. It actually just matters that this kid can check the Latino box and we can't, like that's like not a good system, I think, for anyone. But I think it's, particularly on the left, because it almost makes a mockery of all the things that like we're supposed to care about.
It doesn't almost. It exposes how absurd identitarian politics is. It doesn't almost do it. It does it. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. It's interesting because it just had to be sort of presented in such a stark form that it registered, at least with this journalist, J. Caspian King. Right. A billion, the scion of a billionaire who happens to be from Chile, that identity matters, and some poor East Asian kid, his identity doesn't matter because we need to get up our Latino numbers. Yeah, right. That's the arbitrariness of it. That's the feature of identitarianism. Arbitrariness, capriciousness, institutional preferences. People in charge of the institutions. What confers more autocratic power than the ability to be arbitrary? Thumbs up for you, thumbs down for you. Caesar style. And that's how these institutions are.
We got a great text message. Dan, this is your opportunity to really play up your gubernatorial debate claim that you were born a poor black child.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. So do my identity-based oppression story and perform it. Yeah. Well, I mean, frankly, to my credit, if I can.
Oh, yeah, please. Enough about you. What do you think of you?
It's these ridiculous Horatio Alger stories that are completely manufactured. You hear it from politicians all the time. And we've been doing this for a long time, and it's sickening when people who know better, who are on the center right, who are not supposed to be, not supposed to fall prey to identity politics, are supposed to be beyond identity, that they do it anyway. They do the same things. Well, why? Because they see people getting rewarded for it. Academically, professionally, politically. What a society extols, it begets. If you extol and reward identity, however, in whatever arbitrary fashion, it's just another form of corruption. People say, oh, I see how it works. I have to come up with an oppression story and perform it for you. Okay, I can do that. If it's to get into Harvard, sure, I got you.
Remember the one student, because you have to write these essays to get into schools. In certain schools, you have to write 5 or 7 essays. And she wrote that, her trials and tribulation was her mom had died from cancer. And then they actually called her house. And guess who picked up the phone? Her mom. Yeah.
Turning over to SAU, I want to get to that victory. We like to celebrate the victories for common sense and foundational values here too. So we want to get to this SIU story and Maggie DeJong. But hold on one second. Dave in Romeoville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I was going to say, whenever Michelle Obama tells her trauma story, she says, you get confused as to the help. And I always found that kind of odd, because I was a server and bartender for years, and I never felt like a piece of junk because I was a server.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, doing the job that I did proudly and never felt less than, that was her thing. And I think the same thing with Barack. Wasn't his thing, they confused it as the valet?
Yeah.
That's what the two of them always said. Like, oh, you walk up and they want you to park their car. It's like, well, maybe it's the red jacket, dude. It's not you're black,
Yeah.
So
maybe it was a dude who was cruising and he said, get into my car.
Stop it.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the call. I'm just talking about.
He had a gay fantasy once,
He didn't say once. It didn't say once.
Oh, she was not.
A little on edge all the time. Just saying. I don't know.
He had to come home for Sunday dinners while he was campaigning for president.
Yeah.
She made a point of it.
She didn't want him at some bathhouse on the north side.
I went to investigate those bathhouses, and I never found any of his lovers because I used to freelance.
Oh, you were looking for Obama's friends, Obama's download crew.
I made money looking for Obama's.
You may want to start with
and I didn't that church, the choir boy, that whole thing. I tried. I didn't get any.
Maybe you want to start with the Chum Gang.
Oh, the group he got stoned with in Springfield. Yeah.
Well, not in Springfield, in college.
Oh, college.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know who he was getting stoned with in Springfield.
I know who he was getting stoned with in Springfield.
Probably most of the General Assembly.
But now it's legal, so puff away, people.
Cocaine
Yay.
isn't. Cocaine's still not legal.
No, I don't know about the coke, but I did know about the what do you call it? What do you call pot? You people.
The marijuana? What? What do you mean? What do you call pot? Pot?
No, the Chuming. What do you call that gang?
Oh, the Chum Gang.
The Chum Gang.
Yeah, well, I didn't call it that. I didn't come up with that.
Who came up
Look,
with
I'm not.
And that has to do with this college. I thought when you were always saying the Chum Gang, I thought you were talking about the state reps.
No, Chum Gang. It was this.
Gang.
It was this. College toker friends or associates or whatever. I don't know. Gay lovers, whatever they were.
Stop it.
Mark in Barrington, you're on Chicago's
just a
Morning
fantasy.
Answer. Oh, of course. Nothing wrong with that.
A man can dream.
It's wonderful to have dreams. I agree. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
It's okay. I love the show. I just want to let you know, I graduated from the Naval Academy in the mid-'80s. And along with your conversation, after you got there and they started yelling and screaming, you shaved your head and all that, first thing they did to you was not
hazing.
Making I had a little depression for a year, I'll have to say that, but I'm not a victim. Not a victim.
All right.
But anyway, first thing they did is you only say 4 things. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'll find out, sir. And no excuse, sir. You weren't allowed to make excuses for anything. And by the time we were done, nobody looked at his skin color or anything else. You were just a better person for it. We all got along.
Yeah.
I think the oral cues a little more of that, a little less of what's going on in Harvard.
100%. Yeah, good call, Mark. Absolutely right. Well, here's a good story building on Mark's advice and counsel, which is right and proper. We brought this to you, this story of young Maggie DeJong at SIU when it occurred. She was silenced by the administration. She was a graduate student in the art therapy program there. Yeah. She posted materials to her social media accounts and messages to students, class discussions on topics like religion, politics, COVID-19 regulation, censorship. But because she was a Christian, she upset some people. They didn't feel safe.
Oh, no.
Their oppression
They needed
story.
a buddy bench.
In several of her fellow students in the art therapy program reported her speech to university officials.
Snitches.
We've got one.
I have it right here.
Burn
Hot off the
her.
press.
Burn the heretic. In February of last year, the school's officials issued no contact orders against DeJong, prohibiting her from having any contact, even indirect communication. Like what? Telepathic? What is indirect? With 3 fellow graduate students who complained her expression of religious and political viewpoints constituted harassment and discrimination.
Oh, my God.
Well, the Alliance Defending Freedom got involved, and good for them, arguing that that is unconstitutional censorship. And the school has settled. And as part of the settlement, university officials agreed to revise their policies to ensure students have substantive and procedural protections from the no contact orders, not the speech. So no other student will have to endure what DeJong did. Matthew Hoffman, attorney in the case, said, public universities cannot punish students for expressing their political and religious viewpoints. Maggie DeJong, like every other student, is protected under the First Amendment to respectfully share her personal beliefs, and university officials were wrong to issue gag orders and silence her speech. So good for Maggie DeJong. And again, as we say so often, the only way things change, don't expect the adults or don't expect those in charge to make these changes to these institutions who have dishonored themselves and become corrupt in terms of their value system. And again, their arbitrariness, the way they administer these institutions. You're going to need people like Maggie DeJong to stand up. You're going to need people, man of the left, like J. Caspian Kang, to say this doesn't make any sense. And that means you and that your kids too. When something doesn't make sense, when something is wrong, when somebody is being treated in a way that is afoul of foundational values, then you have to say so. And you think you can't take them on, but Maggie DeJong did and won. And those Asian students at Harvard did and won. And I'm not saying those things are going to change. Those institutions, I mean, are going to change. Good piece by Heather McDonald, our friend over at City Journal. She takes up Ken Griffin's $300 million donation to his alma mater, which happens to be Harvard. $300 million. Heather McDonald writing, Griffin's gift signals to his fellow businessmen, including to other conservatives, that the path to prestige still leads to the Ivy League. And it signals to universities they will continue to pay no price for a political agenda antithetical to mainstream American values, one that proclaims racism as the fundamental American trait. As long as this reflexive giving remains the norm, the project of reforming universities from the inside out is doomed to fail. It's time to start building elsewhere. Yeah, you know, if this is the other point too. I'll tell you what, if these alumni, these donors, Ken Griffin, if you want to prop up Harvard and you want to prop up, as Heather McDonald writes, a institution that promotes an agenda that is antithetical to mainstream American values, go ahead. The rest of us, leave. Fight for yourself wherever you're at, and for others wherever you're at. And when it becomes clear that this is not a place any right-thinking person should be in, then help lead the exodus. Just like
Ken Griffin did.
Well,
he left.
Yeah, but he didn't leave Harvard.
No, he didn't.
No, but he is helping to lead the exodus out of Illinois, which is something.
To Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Everyone knows the old saying, nothing lasts forever. Well, whoever said that obviously never bought a timeshare. Not only do your maintenance fees and assessment fees go on forever, they go up forever. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Over 10 years ago, I was a timeshare salesman. But once I saw the dark side of the business, I quit. I started helping folks get out of their timeshares. Since then, we've helped over 30,000 families by getting them out of bad timeshares. If your timeshare agreement goes on forever, if you were told timeshares are a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, you have questions, we have the answers. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-839-8484. That's 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
One of the most important decisions you can make as a parent is where you send your kids to school. But these days, it's never been harder to know which school is best. Public schools have changed a lot, and you might be thinking about sending your child to a private Christian school. But you also know that private school can be expensive, and in this economy, you might think it's not an option. Well, think again. With halfpriceschools.com, you can purchase tuition vouchers for half the price of normal tuition for private schools. For nearly 10 years, halfpriceschools.com has helped families from all over Chicagoland make the dream of private school a reality, and that can be the reality for you and your child too. Just go to halfpriceschools.com, search for a private Christian school near you, and purchase a voucher. It's that easy. Visit halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com.
Freedom and liberty are important to all of us in Illinois, from Rockford to Carbondale, from Quincy to Decatur. If you're looking for civil, intellectual conversations with those shaping the future of freedom, try the Future of Freedom podcast with me, Scott Bertrand. We speak with leaders across the country in the greater conservative and libertarian movements. In-depth conversations about where the next intellectual battles will happen across the country. It's the Future of Freedom podcast. Find it at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, time for our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski at wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Yeah, I got another great example. Dennis Rodkin, who writes about real estate for Cranes, that anti-business business magazine.
Oh, yeah, I know. I've read a lot of his
houses for sale. He had a good piece last year. Right-wing fanatic sells condo at Lake Point Tower.
I remember the headline. I cut it out and posted it on my locker here at work.
Well, he posted about the house in Highland Park he sold. Wait till you hear the numbers at 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
65 degrees at 7:31. Lots of cleanup to do after strong thunderstorms tracked across Maryland on Monday, leaving a trail of downed trees and power lines. It was Carroll County, Maryland, that was especially hard hit.
A lot of downed trees. Were struck by these trees, but fortunately, by the grace of God, no one was hurt in any of those houses.
Sheriff James Deweese in the town of Westminster. Former President Donning, where a judge will decide if the former president can share evidence from his 2020 election fraud case publicly. Fox's Alexandria Hoff with the latest this morning.
Trump attorneys want to make sure that the protective order that the DOJ is seeking is not too broad, that only sensitive or sealed materials should be kept out of the public view. That is what they want. And they said this yesterday, quote, in a trial about First Amendment rights, the government seeks to restrict First Amendment rights. Worse, it does so against its administration's primary political opponent during an election season in which the administration, prominent party members, and media allies have campaigned on the indictment and proliferated its false allegations. Former President Trump sees any restrictions on what he can say about the January 6th case as a breach of his rights, putting the blame directly on the current administration.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. Eastern Time. Ohio voters head to the polls of abortion and other rights. Hopes to stop legacy admissions. Anthony Williams of Philadelphia is joining with and plans to introduce the bill this fall only based on merit at both. A 14-year-old Chicago girl is was inside of a home last night. He was shot in the leg. That girl is in fire on the west side. Police say an apartment complex in the 2300. A former fifth grade teacher in North. After authorities said she told students she had has been sentenced to 2. Pleaded guilty to that intimidation charge in Lake County Superior Court. That they will confirm it was a tornado that passed between Springfield and Taylorville on 2 peak intensity. Power lines, trees destroyed. Cubs lost 5-1. The news service of agency providing your business with to surround your target audience and drive. Is on the way next on AM.
Candidates for president are getting together in Milwaukee for their first debate. An AM5 watch party on Wednesday, August 23rd at Chicago Prime at Thompson, and watch the debate with fellow .com/debate. Sponsored in part by
Mapes. Mapes was Mike Madigan's chief of staff, raking in a taxpayer. Legislators have collectively overseen the fiscal and moral decline of the land of Lincoln. Unless you experienced it for yourself, you would have a hard time believing the outright tyranny Mapes exhibited on the House floor. Well, why is this important? It's important to understand because voters should know who really held power in Springfield and who allowed them to do so. Democrats want people to believe that they're the party of open thought, kindness, and decorum. The truth is, they're the party of bullies, bullying Republican colleagues, staff, and lobbyists, and at the same time, allowing themselves to be bullied by unelected party elitists like Mapes, who helped control and fund their campaigns. Mapes is on trial now on federal charges of perjury and attempted obstruction of justice in the Madigan investigation. While those charges all fall on Mapes, plenty of Democrat legislators and elected officials knew how the game was played in Springfield and participated in those games that are at the root of the corruption scandal. Justice won't be done until others are also held to account for their enabling of Mapes and Madigan's power. I'm Jeannie Ives. To learn more, listen to my radio show Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars, cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright, because you could be leaving a fortune on the table, and you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
O'Reilly Auto Parts proudly introduces new Brake Best Select Pro brake pads and rotors for superior stopping power and professional grade performance. Stop at O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
It's 7:40. Check of the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of MyPillow. MyPillow employees want to thank you by giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. Regular price, $69.98. Now, $19.98 with promo code LIBERTY. Kennedy at 1 hour, O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. The Ike, 51 minutes, $3.90 to the old post office. Stevenson inbound, 55 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Outbound Stevenson, accident left-hand shoulder as you approach Central. Inbound Dan Ryan, 24, 95th to the Burn Circle interchange. Outbound, 31 minutes from the Burn Circle outbound to 95th. Tri-State, jammed up northbound 127th all the way through 87th. And the Veterans Memorial Toll has an accident on the exit ramp northbound at Boughton Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center. Scatter in a few clouds through the morning. Chance of a thunder. 65 right now. Next continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen. Answer.com on the AM 560 mobile app on your Alexa. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago.
Taxes, oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You can pay off your taxes, or you can pay off your home, but you can't keep up with the taxes. That lyric goes, right? Huh. Perfect segue. Dennis Rodkin, who writes about real estate for Crane Chicago Business. That's the anti-business business rag in Chicago.
Yeah, he did a few articles on me, too. When I sold my house and then when I had to short sell it, he was just foaming at the mouth, so happy.
I think he intended to treat me fairly, but when it hit and torture, I thought that was...
What was the real headline?
It was a...
Yeah. MAGA countryman is moving out of MAGA.
Hitler prof. But I think he intended it. So yeah.
Ex-husband leaves her, cheats on.
Unindicted co-conspirator in the disappearance of suburban. Yeah, right.
Rats
No, I don't.
too.
I don't.
Who cares?
I never
Bring it.
cared. yes. Show us who you are.
Yeah. Oh, they're showing me who they are.
Turnabout being fair play, and he volunteered it. So many people's real estate transaction of the year. It's only sold this house in Highland Park today for $355,000. 3 for 3.
Got a good return on his investment for 20 years. It only appreciates.
Yeah, he so that he could have provided. So that's a 6 for you. What?
Yeah. Ouch.
So 1/4 inflation, self harmless at. That's called a big loser. Boy, even in try to drive the point.
I didn't appreciate more, and he said, "I don't really have a good elementary school," and that was
oh,
yeah.
Property taxes when you're paying. And property taxes. You can't do but it's catering in places like San Francisco. I've been beating this drum for, as I said, 2 decades, and talk to him. Yeah.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
All right, so I'll give you your. I have. Go ahead.
I was looking yesterday, actually, at the Pritzker's promise in his 2020. Actually brought up property taxes. Somebody convinced him to mention that they were unfair, that these local government units. That, here we are, whatever this is, a report together. They couldn't agree of what to do. These property taxes at the state level go up by over $1 billion. Is exactly what you said, Dan. When people buy homes, they have to look at put into escrow for my property taxes. So the money you have to buy a home value goes down. On one hand, the other struggle is a lot of people just can't even afford their property tax. It's a huge problem.
Yeah, and it's you can't spend enough on or confer large enough. Pension and $1 million AFSCME contract. Great. Teacher can do again.
Yeah, and Amendment 1 is going to keep adding to the benefits. It's harder for government units to oppose it. Continue. And what's interesting too, Dan, is housing will finally get cheap. And nobody moves there. The problem that doesn't get, when you see the price of a home, that's not the price. And that's, I think, going to keep mansion transfer tax, big homes, because there's a big tax on top of it.
Jelly Belly on the First Amendment that this is the law he passed to, and he said on CNN, President Trump, you have a right. That is not with the Supreme Court decision. Care centers are lying, but the point is to say even that society and the right to it's really people are calling out. You did, Mark. Commentary on that, and at the moment, are we hearing?
I think from the Republicans here, it's a good point. And what's fascinating is the federal district on that law. Just abused him. Calling the basically they found it's free speech, right? So if you're supportive of an abortion clinic, you're big the federal district judge that but you rarely see a federal judge mock a state law and
Finally somebody's
yeah, but they actually thought they could get away with it.
That's it.
Right.
It's the vanguards have up in the direction of autocracy. So challenge state government action in constitutional. This was a response to the so we got to make sure that only our hack are in Cook and Sangamon County. So that's where you can take your class. And then scenario
combination of all these things together, right? It's scary. People don't cover it. And again, it just feeds into the whole reason for
wirepoints.org. All things.
Remodelers bite off more than they can chew. They take on too many. Project instead. Attention, it do it one time. This lets us result that's better than you imagined. For a free consultation, 809-3355. Baths, basements, additions, and more. That's the number.
Structural problems can start sinking ground or concrete, sagging floor. These are all symptoms of stress. All too often, homeowners ignore these signs and then turn. Seal today, 800. Accurate and free evaluation from Permaseal's trained experts. Chicago Contractor and have a 4.9 free thorough inspection. Call Permaseal 217325 or visit Permaseal.
Problem that needs fixing? Whether you need to change your management, Turnkey has solutions. Yes, inflation and economic downturn. September 30th, Turnkey is offering the first and last Turnkey for any of their IT or business solutions. Or even thousands with of managed IT business. They revenue streams. They're still here. Let Turnkey Turnkey.pro and start a conversation today.
That's Turnkey. Vegetables in a capsule.
I think even if it had started working sooner, finally gave in and said, you know what, I think it's good today. Are you, for they're long and they're strong and they're
7-5 a preferred customer. Problem. Hurry, this offer ends tonight. Or call 1-800 discount code Chicago.
So I walk into a coin shop with silver together. I say to him, bullion. Cheeks down on my 10-pound.
You should have come to Fox Valley Coins. Liquidating a collection to pay the holding money. Fox Valley Coins is happy. Valley Coins, the Midwest premier coin company. On Route 59 at the Naperville. 40 years of family-owned integrity.
Yeah, but the doctor warned me to take it.
Do you like great seats? How about on-field pregame action? We are proud to bring you the to have an unforgettable fan experience. Enter the Wintrust Cross pregame on Crosstown, Chicago's Bank. /crosstown-rules. Member FDIC.
Get a podium ready for Mike.
fifth Republican candidate to qualify to be on stage for the first. Donald Trump
received an exposure within the latest and fourth, and it
Fox's Alexandria Hoff called the special counsel, charging him in 2 indictments. Smith's trying to take away his First Amendment rights in the election. Urged the judge to only restrict sensitive material like rand.
The defendant has proposed an unreasonable order detriment of litigating this case in the court before trial.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. This massacre is under arrest, accused of illegally buy an AR-15. Initiatives requiring a 60% majority.
Democrats imply the move could just 40% of Ohio.
So hundreds of thousands of power outages. Knoxville, Tennessee, where they got almost hurricane force. Struck by a falling tree in South Carolina.
At The Answer, good morning. Shooting on Chicago's South 900 block of South Cottage Grove. Have been no arrests. Last night, trying their best to remember in Chicago's Portage Park neighborhood. Medina.
She was a beautiful. Her light was dimmed. Just.
The suspect in the case identified as could soon make a decision on who. This is reporting Johnson is expected to announce his appointment at City Hall. Creates the Illinois Flag Commission. State flag designs. Before the Flag Commission report to the General Assembly by December. Cubs lost to the Mets. The news service of Are you 60? Stephen Tucker today for 741551. 8:04 and a check of traffic and weather update. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest.
Elizabeth McDonald, and this
corporate America today. AMC shares are rallying since 2019 with Barbie. July was the strongest month for revenue. Eli Lilly's forecast is and a cautious outlook, that stock is losing ground. Quarter, extreme heat and dealing with delays in construction. SeaWorld says it's preparing, which have grown bigger and bigger over the years. Invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next.
Republican candidates for president are getting together in Milwaukee, throwing a party. Go Prime Italian restaurant. Meet Dan. 560 listeners. Tickets are on sale at 560. By Fox Valley Coin.
Investing in the stock market, especially with Joe, where you can turn your income off. No loss of principal if you ever need your money back. Just go invest the letter Y. Refi, that's Y, R-E-F-Y, 24.25%. Just call 888 YRefi.com and tell them Dennis Prager sent you.
Are you considering a unique way to enhance your investment knowledge this year? Then sign up today for the all-inclusive Eagle Financial Publications Cruise. We're setting sail this December to explore some of the most beautiful and unspoiled destinations in the Caribbean. But this is no ordinary vacation. It's a chance to learn from top Eagle Financial experts like best-selling authors George Gilder, Mark Skousen, and others who will be hosting a series of workshops and seminars investment strategies with like-minded individuals, or enjoying a gourmet dinner at the same table with one of our leading financial authorities. This once-in-a-lifetime cruise is a perfect way to combine education and relaxation to achieve your investment goals. This cruise will secure your cabin. That's EagleFinancialCruise.com. Media Group.
Hi, I'm Henry. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. With age, he had partnering with Apellis. I've learned there's an advanced GA. His struggle with vision loss may be, for some, straight lines seem wavy, like when missing spots can make it hard, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over diagnosed with AMD. Today. Learn more at gawon'twait.com. That's GA won't wait.
8:09 and a check of the roads. The Kennedy is at inbound on the Ike, an accident inbound in the avenues at 9 office. Day 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Center lane blocked inbound on the from 95th. Chicago AM 5
and some sunshine today. Thunderstorm in spot 6. Sun then clouds, a thunderstorm tomorrow. 83. I'm Steve Williams.
Midway, next news 8:30 on AM 560.
560 The Answer online at 560 The Answer. And on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. This Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and he's got unlimited legal defense fund who have suffered a professional some adverse posts on social media.
Tweeted.
Yeah, and you have a case and you want a couple grand.
2020 charge against me.
Not somebody, the 40th socialist bitch. One of these hack. By the way, everybody in the 40th ward who voted for this guy.
But when you hear this story, you might think
minority hired jobs, hip hop artist. Calls him page.
Well, this
bitch is not there, but it should be.
Right. So about something that a conversation between and then a response showing basketball player's throat. And discriminate against any children.
Just stop. Nothing says women's rights like a 6-foot game. It's a retweet.
So I was retweeting
the and D-bag is an alderman. Complaint says, I wanted to make volleyball coach at Amundsen as well, who has similarly spewed and this type of and contact and coaching youth at the school is of grave concern. I don't believe she should be coaching. Hey.
First of all, facts straight. I was anti-mask if you paid any conferences that I went to for a record that I have created at the school. I mean, we were in the green, then we're in the red, now we're in the to say that, and I don't talk politics with my I never said don't get vaccinated. But also, this was a hit job.
What about your
say these and they don't care dress it put on that for 4 complaint because they wouldn't tell me because they said I didn't have to write. I've never met would just call the hotline and make a. Like one of my, I don't discriminate against my players. I know what the
word.
Mm-hmm.
Against a member. 5600 636D. It doesn't. This is since it's dude can play basketball. Controversial. Just Andre Vasquez. The score. Say anyone would dare. Way. Retweet. Who should?
For a lot of counseling sessions.
Volleyball. And retweet. You know,
Deny the
Jacobson has agreed. Not for oh, how do you? There. Hey, God. So
tweet.
Did you? It's done.
Yeah. You ready?
Him.
To go because I. And they waited. Do we?
The shield, the CPS. Seriously, that's what they did. You're unbecoming. People in this city who elevate are like, except if because I was
There's more.
Do they have
Or separate helping me be either. So we're just kind of
they
and CPS. Or
how do they make you feel?
Wanted to
look at the but so who like look at me and say I'm a
counselor Justin, because Justin
agree.
And then
What were
internet, but I'm very but with their cell phone, I go, no.
Well, why don't you just spirit person about a 6'6" dude pretending
coaching my job.
They say
They students and not yourself.
government silencing you.
Stop. I'm hearing
Stay there.
no. I love what I'm doing. Love.
I guess. On there. Before.
Yeah.
Well, they both children everything, Miles.
I never said I. That,
no.
No. Listen.
Joe,
Oh.
So maybe
to and your rate retirement at med med
from who's been how
lobbying to keep our school closed, ignoring the mental health of students, abandoning his responsibilities as an alderman to support local schools, allowing a cannabis store to open up right near the school. And fun fact, he doesn't even believe in public education. His kids are homeschooled. He's a political hack and will never amount to anything.
He's already amounted to more than he should have. That bitch we're talking about, 40th Ward alderhuman Andre Vasquez. I'm going to invite him on the show so I can call him a bitch to his face. We'll see if he's got the guts to come on.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
8:38, Horace Cooper, chairman of Project 21. We'll talk about Kamala Harris's demagoguery on the K-12 curriculum in Florida, among other topics. That's 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
8:33, 69 degrees, and crews are scrambling to restore power across much of the eastern U.S. after severe storms pounded the region on Monday. 2 were killed. Polls are open today in Ohio.
The singular item appearing on ballots across the state is Issue 1. That measure would require future state constitutional amendments to get support from 60% of voters in order to pass, as opposed to the current simple majority requirement. The proposed rule has seen support and opposition from a wide range of political groups due to its potential impact on future measures, including a reproductive rights amendment going before the voters in the fall. State officials say close to 700,000 Ohio residents have already voted early in the special election. I'm Brad Siegel.
Families of service members killed during the chaotic pullout of Afghanistan are demanding answers from the Biden administration.
The Biden administration, incompetent, cowards, evil.
Mom Kelly Barnett lost her son at the Kabul airport. There's still time to grab a lottery ticket ahead of tonight's big Mega Millions drawing. The jackpot estimated at just over $1.5 billion. A woman is in critical condition here in Chicago following a fire on the west side. The blaze broke out last night on the 3rd floor of an apartment complex in the 2300 block of North Neva. A Markham man wounded in a shootout with Chicago police over the weekend is facing charges. Officers were conducting a narcotics investigation Saturday night when Shaquille Parker ran off. Officers began a foot chase. Parker turned and fired at police. Only then did police return fire, hitting the suspect. Major League Baseball handing out several suspensions after last weekend's brawl between the Sox and Guardians. Sox shortstop Tim Anderson will be idled for 6 games. And William Friedkin has died, the Oscar-winning director who got his start here in Chicago in local television. Became a top filmmaker in his early 30s with The Gripping French Connection and the legendary terror flick The Exorcist has died. William Friedkin was 87. Cubs lost to the Mets 11-2, while the White Sox are on a 3-game win streak following a 5-1 win over the Yankees. The news is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Text the word app to 64636. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees more insanity in Washington.
The Department of Justice trying to arrest Devin Archer before he has a chance to testify against Joe Biden today. This is over the top. And that's why Trump continues to soar in the polls. We are witnessing levels of insanity that are just hard to comprehend.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of nature, changing the world one life at a time.
My son was saying, Mom, why are you paying so much for this? The supplement store has the exact same thing. And I said, no, they don't. You know, because he was telling me that they have similar products as Balance of Nature. But then when he came over to my house and he looked at the label of the Balance of Nature about all the, ingredients and everything, he realized, oh yeah, this is a superior product.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Hurry, this offer ends tonight. It's your last chance to take advantage of it by going to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you want to remodel your home, there's the easy way or the frustrating way. Rick here from Forever Remodeling, and the frustrating way is how most people remodel their homes. They hire an architect and an interior designer and a builder separately. But when multiple companies work on your job, communication is a mess. Costs balloon beyond budget, and no one takes accountability if an issue pops up. Don't be like most homeowners. Choose the easy way, the Forever Remodeling way. We handle your entire remodel in-house, your blueprints, design, and construction. When every expert is under one roof, you get clear communication, total accountability, and a stunning one-time on-budget final result. Want to remodel your kitchen or bathroom, finish your basement, build an addition? Choose the easy way. Choose the Forever Remodeling way. For a free consultation, call 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number foreverremodeling.com.
8:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Dairy Queen. Hey, DQ fans, get ready for that $7 meal deal that adds a little something sweet. Order the $7 meal deal. Choose between an original cheeseburger or 3-piece chicken strips, plus a full-size regular fry, drink, and your choice of a sundae. Only at participating locations where happy tastes good. Kennedy at an hour and 15 now. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Kennedy outbound 51 back out to the big airport. Ike, it's an hour from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson 51 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan coming inbound 26 now from 95th into the Circle. You have an earlier accident, but pulled out of your way, but still big delays inbound between the Skyway and 43rd. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunshine this morning, a few clouds. Then as we warm up, there could be a thunderstorm sprinkled in throughout the afternoon. I-83. Currently 69. Next news at 9. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
To the left.
Take it back now, y'all. One hop this time. Right foot, let's stop.
Is this from
DJ Casper?
Justin's wedding song selection or
playlist?
something? Yeah, his playlist.
No, the Cha-Cha Slide. That was put Chicago on the map, and DJ Casper died at the age of 58.
The Cha-Cha Slide is what put Chicago on the map?
Well, not
okay. All right.
Slide.
I'm sorry DJ Casper passed away, but
you don't want me to.
It doesn't make the Cha-Cha Slide any better.
Oh, wait, have you ever danced it at weddings? Oh boy.
No, I mean,
well, no.
Not really.
You have. No, you have.
Well, I mean, I've danced before.
But I mean,
I don't
line dancing.
I don't
have you
encourage
done the
it. No, I don't do that. I don't do all that. I don't do group dancing like that.
Oh, all right.
It's strange to me. All right, something else that's strange to me is Kamala Harris, and it's strange that the Biden administration is putting her out there as their sort of attack dog when it comes to issues like, well, issues essentially of race and life, meaning she's out there prattling on about abortion on demand all 9 months, taxpayer funded. You've got this ballot initiative that Mike's been reporting on in Ohio that's voted on today to increase the threshold required to amend the Constitution there, because, of course, the pro-aborts in Ohio are moving to enshrine abortion as a constitutional right in their state constitution. So Republicans want to raise the threshold. We'll see how that plays out. But on the racial issue, since that's been batted about among Republican candidates and pundits over the last couple of weeks, the Florida curriculum that Ron DeSantis oversaw the development of, but it was done by like well-respected and well-regarded academics like W.B. Allen from Michigan State. Anyway, she's been out there demagoguing it, as is her wont, saying things like this.
Right here in Florida, they plan to teach students that enslaved people benefited from slavery. They insult us. Well, I'm here in Florida. There is
Kookaburra and giant Flemish rat. And to social media, the curriculum woke act actually
shall include the vital contributions of African American society and celebrate circumstances. Instructional personnel may in an age-appropriate manner how the racial segregation and racial discrimination of laws resulting in racial oppression, racial segregation. These freedoms just laws. Florida is trying to ban the teaching of Black history because if or you are biased. That's in chapter 1003. It's even more expansive. To this podium today, educator. That was vilified as well. If you're any requirement act.
You're part of the problem. To further question the competency of Kamala Harris. Project 21, senior fellow with the National Center for Public Policy, released a book. Cooper, thanks.
I appreciate the opportunity to come. Was ex-wife.
Very good. So what Kamala has forth between DeSantis and Tim, a larger sort of assault indoctrination is going to be characterized as
everybody, so you can look out in the lecture hall. What?
Let's be very penetrated that he is adult conversations. Yes. That's members of the media who behave similarly. What do you think?
Bothered that this sort of inflammatory and manipulative. Do a survey several times a year. Black Americans are disproportionately supreme in the media. BTQ issues, when asked one of the questions, voters said something removed community by 61. Black voters said that they believe going on and said by 82 to 18 it on crime and on non-white vote. It should be a crime. In gender and the like, and not the normal. What is the popular? Points. To make a life choice is that increasingly from America, and now the number on the left, Black Americans. Well, Army when I worked on Capitol Hill. We see it. But those on the left, and they believe it means to be black in America. And this AP Norc poll, suggest the back of the political the goodwill who fundamentally believe them no longer. And that is that you must assume that the outcome of life in America, particularly that ends up making black economy and a growing economy takes from you and hands to me and to grow those resources. The economy is wonderful, but for most everyone else, and particularly
Joe Biden's policies hurt Black America. Properly understood, would get people to see and move.
I am writing to those who believe a on the basis of race. So that's a first. Assuming that the law enforcement in your and they are to apprehend criminals. Elements of how the Biden administration has thinker as a result of it.
Yeah. Them. Black.
Dan.
Time. And Chicago social sign now multiple but if a any works Joe, what if I market monthly pound dot